What's up, you guys? Welcome back into our Edge video. This time we're going to be going through all the guns you want to be looking to bring into your side, and then also just Robati at the end there that a lot of people have been asking me about. So with the Edge, there's obviously only a small list here, and the reason for that is I covered a lot of the guys in the front row forward video. So if all the dual position guys that are the top ones. So jump back and check that one. Obviously, I spoke about a lot of the dual guys like Papa, Harris, Crichton. As your big three there, Murray, etc. Josh Jackson is another one, so and Barnett there. So jump back into that if you want to work out who's going to be the most important guys in that. In terms of the whole edge position, then it's pretty obvious that David Fifita is going to be your number one choice as the guy you need to get into your side post Origin. I don't think you have to do it for this round 16 one. Yeah, he might get rested or he could get injured like any of these guys in Origin, but at a 73 average, yes, he's expensive at 865, but you're getting what you pay for with him, and he's going to be the top guy in this position across front row or edge. So he needs to be in everyone's side, and that's pretty self-explanatory. Whether he comes off the bench in round 18, then maybe it's a round 19 pickup. He's going to be perfect for him. So that's that one there. And then our next one's going to be Frizell, and a clear second best average in the second row forward. And the question's going to be now, how many are you going to be holding? Are you going to use a Fifita, a Crichton Harris kind of combo as your couple of edges and the cover there, or do you pick someone like Frizell, who's probably going to be a little bit more underutilized in terms of his ownership percentage? So he could be someone that's going to be interesting to pick up, especially if you like the Knights there, and he's someone that's pretty consistent. He had the random couple of lower games, but then he has some 80 games and stuff like that. So he's awesome, but I personally think you should wait a couple of weeks once he gets back to see how his body goes, and maybe he loses a little bit of cash too over that first couple of weeks. But that's Frizell. So they're your top two clear ones that are just in the edge position, and then we move to someone I think is probably a third best that I wouldn't be personally targeting at this stage, just at the price point, but also the scoring. Like he has to score tries to the last game anyway, had to score a try to get over 50. Whereas those weeks before, he was getting a bunch of tackle busts and stuff like that, which we'll jump in and have a look at here as to how he's been scoring his points. And you look there, and he does have 3 tries overall, and he has one there in round 10 for a 57, and then a 58 this last round, 38 the one before. So obviously didn't play the full 80, but in those games that he is playing 80, he's got a 49 on return, a 30 in a game where he didn't run the ball. So it's kind of just based on if he runs the ball, he's going to get a bunch of tackle breaks, which you can see through those first bunch of games, sort of 2-3, 2-9, and a 5 in the first one. That 9 is obviously the anomaly, so I wouldn't be expecting that every week. That was kind of a very, very out there game for him. But those games previous to that, the 57 and the 60, I think we can expect a few more of them than the 30 and 40. So if we can get like a 45 as kind of his base, if he's running over 100 meters, I think he can get that, and then have those gains for around that 60 mark, and he has the chance to score some tries. I think he's going to be a solid player, and the fact that he is playing in round 17 is going to be a good one, and you get him at a slightly cheaper price. So if you're sitting there with Matto or Lucy and those types of guys, I wouldn't be trading them out to get him. I'd only be trading those guys out to get a Fifita or a Tohu Harris or something like that, which we'll go through those guys in a second. But yeah, that's CHN. That's where I'm at with him. Obviously picked him up a couple of weeks ago. I know a lot of other people picked him up sort of 3 to 4 ago, but he's going to be someone that's going to be serviceable for anyone's side as he plays the rest of the way, the last 10 rounds of the season. So that's CHN. There we move to they're the clear top 3, and then it's kind of a bit of a lottery between Matto, Lucy, Curran, I think, as to how they're going to go. But we'll have a look at Ryan and his scoring and what's really been happening with him this year, especially down to 607k now after being an 800k player coming into this year. If you look at his scores from 2020, they're all amazing. They're all 80-minute performances, apart from when he gets a head knock. But high 50s, mid 50s, 70s and 80s when he scores tries or sets up tries. So he was awesome and so consistent, right? And then he gets to this year, and yes, he comes back with a bunch of 80-minute games. It's really funny that he actually played 80 minutes in his return games this year from his concussion, and then they move him to a slightly different role. And of course, I decided to pick him up around this point where he got his he got his 55 is when I picked him up in round 10, and literally every game after that he's had limited minutes, which causes issues, right? For any everyone will know that any edge forward that isn't getting 80 minutes, it's very, very hard for them to score big points, because a lot of time they do need that accumulation of time to get that sort of 0.7, 0.6 ppm, which you can see where he's at now, and that's completely okay if he's playing 80 minutes. But if he's getting 60, that 0.68 does not work properly, and you can see why in that 48.3 average now, and that only includes one game where he's had limited minutes with his 46. So really, the majority of this is just his scoring. And to be scoring just under 50 is not keeper level territory, unfortunately. And I wish I was to know that when I picked him up in round 10, but unfortunately not. And if we look at his score since then, we're going 40, 38, a 73 in a 70-minute effort, which included a try and a try assist. Kind of the perfect game, like you saw from him in that 70 in round 9. But then 31, 47. So, and that includes a try also in that last one. So for me, I don't think he's going to be a keeper this year. If he's not playing the 80, then I don't think he will be. So be interesting to see what happens with him going forward. If there's every chance he could get back to an 80-minute role. So I'm probably going to hold him for this week in round 16, and then look to possibly move him on in 17 or 18. Maybe hold him through and then pick up Fifita again or something like that. So that's something for you guys to think about also, as to what you're going to do with him going forward there. Just not scoring well enough, unfortunately. And then we can look at someone like Luciano Leilua as well. Just 13k cheaper than him at this stage, and was someone that was in the 700s early on the year too, and he's actually still owned by 8 people in the top 100. So really interesting. He was averaging 58 to now be averaging 50.9. You can see that from his last 5 games that his scores have just been much lower. The consistency is not there anymore, where he was a 50-plus player every week there through the first 7 rounds. And that's why he had that 57, 58 average. And then you look from there and it's got 47, 57, 37, right? There's a few low ones, and the last 2 have been his worst. So before that, he was nice and consistent. We had a 52, 61, 55 when I had picked him up in my side, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And you're looking at 30 tackles in those ones at his minimum, and then over 100 meters and a few tackle breaks, a few offloads, which gets him that 50-odd score with the odd try, etc. in there. But the last 2 have been very low in the tackles section. Decent run meters, but a bunch more missed tackles, which can we say is this an anomaly for him? If you look at his missed tackles through the season, there's only 2 outlier games with a 4 and a 3. The rest and the first game with a 5, but that's over 13 rounds. Yeah, the first 13 rounds before the last 2. So 3 outlier games. Can you expect that this comes back closer to the mean in terms of getting closer to 2 to 1 missed tackles a game? I think it can, and to make if he turns 3 or 4 of those into actual tackles, then we're getting closer to that 30 mark. That's an 8 to 9 point swing, and you're already up to 40 points there. And obviously, if they're playing a bit better, he's going to be getting the tackle breaks and the offload. So there's every chance he can get back to a 50. The good thing is he's playing pretty much 80 minutes week to week. He might get 74, which you can see a few times there. But the Matterson ones are worried just with the minutes. So I think Matterson might be a trade out before Lucy, just based on the fact that we've only got 2 really low scores here. And then if you look up further, it's a 37 and a 47 in the whole year, where the rest of the scores are over 50. So I think he's probably a hold before Matterson, but I'm also wary as to how he's going to be going, for the rest of the season. At 594, I think you can hold off with the chance that he gets back to a 50-plus average. So that'll be my thoughts on this matter there with Lucy. And then we move to Joshy Curran, and for me, my worry for Joshy is the fact that I don't think he's going to be playing really big minutes, and again, someone who's going to be middle/edge, obviously splitting his time with Tohu in those 2 positions. I just don't think that at this price point of 530 that you're going to get the complete value out of him. Obviously, you're going to get value that he's playing 17, but if you look at the last 2 games since his return, he's got 58 and 64 minutes, which is okay. But in that case, he has to really dominate when he's on the park and get a high PPM, because we want him to be at least a 50-point scorer. In this case, he's not. If you look at his PPM in general, he's a 0.77. If you're getting 60 minutes, that's sitting at a 40, like a mid to low 40s average, which is probably not good enough if we're looking at picking him up. If you've kind of held him the whole way along, then you use these scores and any of those price rises as a good way to go about it. But if you haven't, and you still don't have him now, I think you hold off on him. Yes, he plays 17, but is it worth bringing in someone like Curran, who's going to average maybe a 45, to then have to trade him out a little bit later? I don't think that it's worth it at this stage. And guys, our last one is going to be TC Robati. So with where is he? There he is, TC Robati. With him, and it's going to be more to the fact that TPJ is one suspended for the next 3 to 4 weeks, but then looks like he'll be out of the club. Yeah, could be immediately, anytime in the next few weeks. So this gives Robati a chance to play some bigger minutes, which we saw last week, right? Had a really good game in round 13 where he got 46 minutes off the interchange bench, got 2 tries, looks strong, right? Everyone's like, all right, we better pick him up. But the issue with him is that when he does have an interchange role, it's very low minutes, and his PPM isn't strong enough. You know, at 0.77, not strong enough for him to average well and get some good price rises off the bench. So for me, he has to be a starter. And so getting that lock role last week, you should probably see that again. Obviously, Carrigan's out for the year, so there's an opportunity for him to lock that role spot, get that role as the lock position in the Broncos side for the rest of the year if they think he's good enough. And I think they probably should give him a crack, just given the fact that their team's really struggling, and he's one of the young talented guys. You saw that happened with Reece Walsh not giving him a go, and he decided to, he wanted to play and decided to move on. So I think for someone like Robati, there's the opportunity there. They've got Lodge and Haas in the middle, and then they're going to need to cover that edge role now. And then you've got him and Robati and Flegler, and I think Robati's probably has a chance of being a better player than Flegler. So if he can keep this role, I think he can make a good amount of cash. There's very, very low ownership, especially in the top 5K with only 0.56%. At 321K in the edge position that isn't too strong, obviously dominated by those dual position guys in Tohu Harris, etc. But I think he's someone that can make you money. The issue is, do you have many trades available? Are you sitting with 7 or 8? Are you sitting with 13 to 15? If you are sitting with the 13 to 15 trade, you could probably use him as a cash cow, getting you another couple 100K, using him as a player each week if he's continuing to get that lock role. The question going forward is, will he maintain that role, and will he get the minutes he needs to score well? That's a question I can't answer for you at this stage. So we're going to have to wait and see. And if you feel like you're a little bit risky and you want to take that chance, then go for it. And if you don't, then just wait and hold off and see. But good to see that he can make 42 tackles for 1 miss. That's super strong. Obviously not running the ball too much, but that's good to see that he's not relying on those attacking stats to get his 52. So there you go, guys. That's the edge position in a nutshell. I hope that helps you guys out. But obviously check that front row forward one to get those dual position guys. You got Cam Murray, you got a million different guys that could fill both these roles, and it's good to have those dual positions. But like someone said in my comments, that if you don't have that Tohu, Angus, and Isaiah Papali'i kind of combo, then I think you right now already, I think you're probably struggling. So most people have enough cover in both positions. It's just going to be who's probably going to fill your last spot or two. Are you going to upgrade someone to a Fifita if you don't have him? That kind of stuff there. So I'd say, guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Please do like and subscribe. Best way to support me. And we'll catch you in the next one where we will be going through the halves position. So see you guys. Have a good day.